We're going to make some buildings using 1-point perspective. To start off with, I want to have a pencil with an eraser or an additional eraser and then a ruler. So to begin our 1-point perspective, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my horizon line. My horizon line separates my ground from my sky. I always like to give myself plenty of ground to work with. So I always go above the middle of the paper. And I'm just going to draw with my pencil right across to make my horizon line. Okay, so horizon line is an imaginary line that divides the sky from the ground. Okay, so now I need my point. My vanishing point is where everything vanishes to. It's going to give me my angle, my perspective. Okay, I like to put my vanishing points somewhere in my sky region of my paper. I like to put them towards the top of my paper and usually as close to the edge as I can. Okay, so let's see here. I think I'm going to put it right here. Now, I made that bigger than I normally would so that way you can see it. It is a point, not a dot, not a circle, not a blob. It's a point. Okay, so think about that. It's just a point, but I want you to be able to see it, so I made it bigger. It is a temporary point. When I get all the way done and I'm ready to turn my project in, I'm going to erase that. So I really don't need it all that big or all that dark. I just need to be able to see it. I made mine bigger so you can see it. All right, so to begin with 1-point perspective, I'm going to draw a rectangle for my building. Now, I want my rectangle so it does not touch the bottom of my paper. It does not touch my left side, my right side, the top of the paper. Okay? It cannot begin or end at the horizon line. Okay? So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to go through my horizon line. No big deal. Draw a nice rectangle. Now remember, you're going to have more than one of these. So think about how big you're making your building. Okay, you're going to have 4 or 5 if you are a 7th grader. If you're a 6th grader, you have to have 4. If you're a 7th grader, you have to have 5. Okay, so think about that. I've got to put 4 or 5 on my paper because that's my minimum requirement. Okay, so now I have a rectangle drawn neatly with my ruler. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the points that are closest to my vanishing point. Now when I first started learning this, I would always mark them, and I would mark the ones that were closest to my vanishing point with the little X. You can barely see my X's, but I would mark them because that would always help me remember what it is that I needed to do. Another trick is my buildings aren't see-through, so if I'm drawing my line through the building, I probably don't need to draw that line. So I'm going to line up my corner with my ruler, and I'm going to line it up with my vanishing point. Okay? It's important that I go from the corner where those two lines intersect to make the corner. That's where I want to line my ruler up with, and my point. And I will draw a line all the way to my vanishing point. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the next one. It really doesn't matter what order I draw these in as long as all 3, or sometimes it's only 2, but as long as all of them go to my vanishing point. That's what's really important, is that I line it up well and that they all go to my vanishing point. Okay, now here's what I mean by line it up and see if you're going to draw through your building. If I go with this 4th corner here on this building and I line it up with my vanishing point, I'm drawing right through the center of my building. My building's not an ice cube. My building is not clear. Therefore, I cannot see through the building. So I probably don't need that line. Okay, here's the next step. I need to make 2 pairs of parallel lines. One of them is going to be vertical and one of them is going to be horizontal. Okay? I'm going to start off with my vertical parallel line. it's going to fall in between these two lines that I've drawn to my vanishing point. This is going to make the side of my building. So it's going to say, this is where my building ends. I'm creating an end to my building. A trick to make sure that it's parallel, because all vertical lines are parallel. I'm going to line my ruler up with the vertical line that I've already drawn. Now I'm going to slide it towards my vanishing point. I'm going to think about where I want my building to end. How big do I want it to be? Notice I'm just sliding it. I am not picking it up and moving it. I'm just sliding it. And I think right there looks good. So I will draw a parallel line between the two corners that I took to the vanishing point. Okay, those lines that I took from the corners, I'm going to draw through those two. Notice I have this triangle up here that I haven't even touched. That's coming next. Okay, so I have one pair of my parallel lines that I needed to complete for this building. Now I'm going to go to my second pair of parallel lines. I'm going to do a horizontal set of parallel lines, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my vertical line. I need it to be parallel. I'm going to line my ruler up with the top of my building that I drew. And I'm going to slide my ruler up so I'm drawing where these two lines intersect, because now I'm drawing the top of my building. So I'm going to slide, 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 slide to where they intersect. There's where they intersect. And I will draw my line. Okay, so one set of parallel lines is horizontal. Another set of parallel lines is vertical. Now I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to erase my extra lines because I no longer need them anymore. So I will erase them. It's probably a good idea if you're going to be erasing things to draw with the light hand, so that way you can erase things easily. I can also erase this horizon line that ran through my building. So there is one building completed, at least for the outside, in 1 point perspective.